Then I also chose to shoot towards the corner. Okay, we'll start that one more time.
Gotta fight to get to your dreams. What you know about dreams? 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 What you know about dreams?
What's going on, family? My name is Adrian. I am a freelance cinematographer and owner of A1 Films. This channel exists to hopefully encourage you and inspire you both in your film journey and in your faith walk, because that's what I'm about. So if you're rocking with that, man, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for future content coming out. Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I have my reference monitor set up in the background, and I'm gonna go through in real time my last interview setup to talk a little bit about the motivation behind my lighting. It wasn't, an intricate lighting setup, but I get a lot of friends asking about lighting tips and tricks. What's important for me to share first is the motivation behind the lighting and like the purpose behind why somebody lights something. It doesn't make sense to have like 1,000 lights and have RGB different colors if it doesn't serve the story. And so that's why today I wanted to just kind of talk about what I was thinking through, as I was lighting this shoot. And so let's get straight into it. So as you can see, I shot with my Canon C300 Mark II there on the right. The biggest challenge on this shoot was the actual interview setup space. I was in a really small office. You can see there was a couch in the background. We had to move some stuff around. I was shooting some behind the scenes footage there. But the good thing about this was that it had a really big window in the office. That was, for me, my motivation for this whole lighting setup, was to use this window and to make it look like all the light that was hitting the talent, the background, and just all the light that was in the room was coming from this window. And so a lot of times in cinematography, it takes a lot of work to make something look like it's just completely natural, which is not the case. It's almost like being a magician. You gotta make things appear, how do I say that? You have to trick the viewer sometimes into making it look like something that it's really not. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And that'll hopefully make sense as I break this down. So this is the framing that I chose to go with. I wanted to shoot out the window to add some depth to the frame, and also shot towards the corner to do the same thing. And so I'll go through the lighting setup really quickly here, each light at a time. So the first light was the backlight to kind of emulate the sun coming through the window. The next light was the edge light to separate the subject from the background. And then the final light is the key light, which lights our talent. This is Lakin and Brianna. They work with SEG Media, social media marketing company, awesome people to work with. They do awesome work, owned by Sheila, a good friend of mine's. That's the company that hired me as a cinematographer. We were shooting something for their client in Kansas City. And yeah, so they were gracious enough to stand in for me. It was a 2-person shoot. So this is the final look we ended up going with. With the backlight, I wanted to emulate the sun coming through the window and add a little bit more dimension to just the space overall, because there wasn't really any artwork on the background. I even created some patterns with the light on the background, and I'll show you in a second how I did that. The kicker light or the edge light or the hair light, that serves 2 purposes for me. One, it emulates like the ceiling light, as if you flipped on the switch and the light is coming from the ceiling. I wanted to emulate that look to make it look natural, but it also separates my talent from the background. One of the things that you want to look out for when you're lighting subjects is that you don't want your talent to fall into the background. What do I mean by that? If you look at this, obviously there's no lights, and so you can't tell what's the background and what's the talent, or where the edge of the shoulder ends and where the background ends. And so an edge light gives you that separation that you need in order to make the subject pop out. And as you can see, the key light is probably the most important light. I really liked where the shadows were falling off. And if you look at Lakin, who is on the left, if you look at her cheek, the lighting creates kind of a triangle, which is called a Rembrandt light. Rembrandt is a famous artist who was famous for his shadowing, and every one of his photos, you can see that his lighting, he would always leave this really soft shadow, and so that's called Rembrandt lighting. And so you see that with her. I really like the way that turned out. That really wasn't on purpose, but as I looked at it, I'm like, that's really cool. So when we talk about what I used for this shoot, I'll just do a quick kind of breakdown of that. Shout out to my guy Mike, who I hired as a grip on this shoot. I hire pretty much every shoot that I do. That's my road dog. He brings his lights. It's a single source light. And what we did was we actually cut a piece of cardboard out to shoot through because it created patterns on the background. And that's the great thing about using single source lighting. And you can't get that with like a 1x1 LED because you have like 100 different lights in there. Here's another shot of that light. We also used the Aputure light dome too to kind of shape the light. And I also used some black cinefoil here on the left so that the light does not spill on my talent. Black cinefoil, this is Roscoe's cinefoil. You can get it on B&H. I use it for negative fill. I use it for barn doors. It's really versatile. You can reuse it. So I recommend picking up a roll of that. So for the backlight, I used a half panel Dracast light, and I also wrapped it with some cinefoil so that it doesn't spill on my background. And then for my main light, I typically use this on every shoot. It's a 3x1 LED from Intelitech. It's called the Light Cloth. It's really great, especially if you have a 2-person interview. It's wide enough to get both interviewees. But even on single interviews, I use it often because you get a nice wrap around the face and the shadows can fall off. I'm actually using it here. You can kind of see where the shadows are falling off. And it's really versatile. It's super portable. It's light. It actually comes in a box and folds out. And so I love it. I travel with it. And I'll also leave that in the description below. So that was all that I had for this shoot. I just want to thank SEG Media. Thank you to my guy Mike, aka Chef Salad Bar. Follow your boy on Instagram. And yeah, I was just super grateful for this shoot. It was one of the last shoots of the year for me. And 2019 has just been a year of ups and downs. My first full year of being in business full time for myself. And man, I'm excited for what 2020 has to offer. Hopefully this was encouraging to you. And I hope to bring more content to you like this in the future. So let me know in the comment section if this was helpful or if you want to see more in-depth breakdowns. But with that being said, until next time, man, y'all know what it is. Hustle hard and pray often.